for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
You know, I think you ought to present the video, because you got one of these the other night, didn't you?
I did, thanks to Kasulki.
And then I was so excited to see where he presented it to you like he was presenting you a check. So good on Dom Kasulki for living up to his word.
It's like an award show, man. I felt great. I felt like I was winning an Oscar. You know, I've worked my whole life to beat Dom in a bet and to get this wonderful Christmas ornament, and I was so happy to accept my award. Shout out to my friends for videoing it. I appreciate them. And it was just a wonderful night inside Minji's Coliseum, Patrick. It was a heartfelt moment in the middle of a Pirate victory.
Right. Pirate ECU, or Pirate basketball, played well for ECU, I thought, the other night. That was great to see East Carolina get a win. And look, wins have been tough to come by here in the early part of the non-con, so happy to take it. We'll see what they do against Chapel Hill. For a lot of reasons, I would love it if the Pirates could go in there and just smack them around, but I'm not counting on that happening. Boy, wouldn't it be great as if like something crazy happened and they smacked them around? It'd be awesome. I think East Carolina is going to be what you have to hope is that the Heels are going to maybe underestimate ECU. That's what you kind of have to hope for in that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look, it's happened before. You think of the Wofford going in there, 4 or 5 years ago, winning an early non-con game in Chapel Hill. They went to Northern Iowa, I want to say a decade ago, got beat there. Of course, both those teams were tournament caliber teams, though, with that being said. But, hey, the point is it's happened, and it's happened by little enough schools that I can remember almost of the year, and I can tell you the school. So I'll let you know it's some significance.
Well, tournament teams at Chapel Hill needs to be the bare minimum. I mean, that's the bare expectation, isn't it?
No, I'm saying the Northern Iowa team that did it was in the tournament the year before.
Yeah,
the Wofford team that did it. These were legit, they were kind of tough outs too.
You know, there's also the thing of this, and I mean, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this as East Carolina's, this great juggernaut. What a great win. I mean, it was a good win the other night. They blew out a team they should have blown out, but, Hubert's still coaching the Tar Heels. And as long as that's going on, you never know. We've also got one of my favorite topics of the year, which was the Bill Belichick sitch. Cristin Severance is going to be with us in our next segment. She's from WRAL as a investigative reporter, but also as a documentarian. She's done some really fascinating work doing documentaries, award-winning work. And she's got one on Bill Belichick and the Carolina way and all of that. Actually, it's the Belichick way, coaching Carolina. Pilk, as soon as this show ends, I'm going to watch this. You know I will. I've not seen the full thing yet. I've just seen the excerpts. But I can't wait to get to the youtube.com under the WRL and watch this because of a lot of our friend Wes Durham's in it. Brian Murphy, I think, had a hand in it. We've had Murphy on. We've had Pat Welter on. So look forward to having Cristin on with us as well. All right. Couple things from the other night. You mentioned that let's start with obviously the big story. ECU Pilk has their offensive coordinator. We've only been reporting on this, it seems like, every day this week. But now the ink is dry on said contract. So welcome Coach Davis to G Vegas. And he is calling. Is he calling plays or is he just coaching the bowl game with North Texas, the New Mexico Bowl?
Yeah, as long as he coaches it, he's going to call plays. They came out and announced when Eric Morris said, hey, we didn't make the college football playoff, I'm on my way to Stillwater. Yeah. They said that he would be the play caller. So as long as he coaches the New Mexico Bowl, he's expected to call the plays.
So we'll get a chance to see some of that. That kind of happened with Lincoln Riley. And I'm in no way trying to equate this guy with Lincoln Riley, but that kind of happened with Lincoln Riley when Texas Tech, when they fired Mike Leach and Ruffin McNeil was the interim coach, and Lincoln called the plays that game. And that game wrapped up before ECU played Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl. It's kind of an odd little, sort of harbinger of things to come.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, Mr. Pilkington. A couple other things. So I was there at halftime for very important people, and I somehow have found my way into going and being a part of the very important people. They have a little halftime reception for, higher ups during basketball games, and so I always sneak in there and get a snack for the second half. And there were some kids in front of me in line, punk kids. And one of the punk kids turns to me and says, Denny O'Brien has told me about you, or something like that. I said, oh, okay. I said, you're Denny's kid? He said, no. I play baseball with Denny's kid. I said, oh, okay. So you go to the school that Denny's kid goes to in the Raleigh area? And he said, no. I play travel ball with him. I said, oh, okay. Are you from up there? And he said, no, I'm from here. And he told me where he went, which was APA, my alma mater, Parrott. And so there was another kid. This kid's a sophomore, plays baseball at Parrott. There was another kid there who plays basketball as a junior. There was another kid who, I don't know if he plays any sports. It seemed like he was a sophomore or something. And then their sister, she was a junior. So these kids are from Parrott Academy, and they're in front of me. And I say, oh, well, young people, I'm a grad of Parrott Academy, 1996. And you know what the kid says to me?
Can't wait to hear this. This is going to be funny.
That was a long time ago. He's not wrong. It was a long time ago.
You're probably younger than these kids' parents, though.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe we're probably in the same. I'd say give or take 5 years, we're in the same deal. I don't know how old are kids that are sophomores and juniors in high school, Pilk?
Sure, 16, 17. That's true, because my parents are about 10 years older than you, and I'm about 10 years older than those kids. So,
yeah.
No?
Yeah.
So, about your age.
Yeah. And then you mentioned Pilk was there. I think you ought to post the video of you receiving this thing.
Award. I thought you were going to post it. That's the reason I didn't. I thought you were going to.
No, I actually forgot about it till we went on the air here because I looked over and I saw the one I had gotten. And these are really, by the way, this is a good quality item here, Clark. These things are pretty thick. And
you're going to fumigate that quality item?
This is a great little ornament, Pirates 25. I love it. I mean, it's really well done. I don't know who did this, but they're really, really. There's no marking on it who did it, but it's really well done, whoever did it. Anyway, I did notice you were sitting over there in some of the high-dollar purple seats, and I noticed it was you and another fella with you. I think you said was your roomie. And then I looked, and you had more people beside you. Then I looked over later in the game. So eventually you guys took over the row. Was it a type of thing you invited your homies down to sit with you during the is that what happened here?
So, yeah. So, Hank didn't use any of his seats. So I was like, I texted a couple of the other guys who I was going to go up and meet with. I was like, well, these seats technically are Hank's. They're available. Come sit down. Well, then the other guy who came and sat with us, the guy he was with was invited down by Shook. So that was Shook's deal. Shook invited this other guy, and I don't even know the guy Shook invited, but the buddy he was with is friends with us.
I see.
So, yeah, it was just kind of one of those.
The guy sitting beside Shook looked like he had just gotten out of a deer stand or a duck blind or something.
Yeah.
He looked like he was hunting. All right. Let's see here. What else do we need to make mention of? We have coverage tomorrow of a week from tomorrow. Pardon me.
I was about to say, dang, I ain't going to be here tomorrow. I hope somebody's working.
Quiet down. Coverage a week from tomorrow of the Military Bowl 2025 ECU v Pitt. Pilk and I will be on the assignment there 1 week from tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, 8 to 10, with Pirate Game Day Countdown. Looking forward to that. All right. Back next week, we'll have our show on Monday, normal time. Festivus show for you on Tuesday. Email me or email Pilk with your grievances. You can also send us a video or audio message on the email. and we will do that. Patrick at IBX Media, Philip at IBX Media. We should change it to Pilk at IBX Media. Philip at IBX Media, and if we like what we hear, we'll put you on. Good chance you'll get on, so why not do that and air your grievance with us? And then a week from today at 5 o'clock, our very special bowl preview edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. Andrew Bays and Jay Sonny Sunholder will be with us. Sunholder, by the way, in Myrtle Beach, working that broadcast today for national radio, so congrats to Sonny there. All these people I work with are so big-time. Pilk, you would think some of their big-timedness would rub off on me, but it never does.
You got invited to the halftime thing.
Oh, well, no, I didn't get invited. I just snuck my way into that. All right, here's the top 5. Here we go.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard.
You ready?
Or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Number 1. Number 1.
Pilk, no, nobody's. I snuck my way into the line, and then you act like you're there, and everybody just assumed you're there, and now you can go. And now they ask me what I think of the food, and I tell them, "Oh, well, this was good," or "I didn't like this." Hey, I think I'm going to pull rank here. I think we ought to start with the saddest amount of news, because we want to end on a high note and have some fun. But boy, and you can speak more on this than I can, Pilk. But obviously, yesterday, what happened at the Statesville Airport, apparently, from what I can gather, the plane with Greg Biffle aboard, which was a plane that his company owned, was headed somewhere, and I guess they turned around to come back to the airport because of an emergency, and it was a burst into flames situation. Biffle and the others on board, including his wife and 2 young children, were killed. And, I mean, this just right here before the holidays is terribly tragic. It's tragic anyway, but it's terribly tragic. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously you have a better knowledge of the workings of Greg Biffle's career than I ever will. So all I could say is it's a horrible situation. And you will be the one to comment on the top 5 here rather than me, because I think this is a topic you can do it justice.
Yeah, so first off, as Patrick mentioned, Greg Biffle, former NASCAR driver, his wife, their 2 children were on board the plane. The pilot, none of them were flying, so the pilot was in the accident as well. The pilot's son was on the plane, and then there was a 7th member as well, just a friend, I guess. This is a guy who's never been big in NASCAR as far as a name that we would know, but a guy who was around the drivers a lot. He actually drove Kenny Wallace's motorhome back in the day for a few years, is who this other gentleman was. They were flying down to Florida, I guess down to West Palm to visit some friends. There was an issue. They turned around and they were unable to, so they were aware of the issue, it was mechanical, and were unable to make a safe landing. Obviously, all 7 have passed away, unfortunately. As for Greg Biffle, solid NASCAR driver, but what he will be remembered for is his work with the hurricane that hit the mountains last year in 2024. He actually had this plane that I think was the same plane they were on, was going by, and was his own money, his own time, delivering goods to these people. He was rescuing people who were trapped, and that really is what he will be remembered for. I mean, he did way more, and I know we try not to get political on the station, but I'm telling you that Greg Biffle did way more than our local government or the national government did combined for the people of Western North Carolina. And that's just the human being he was. I've never met him, but everybody that I've talked to who has met him just has wonderful things to say about Greg. Just tragic for his family, the families of the others that, losing loved ones at any time is tough. But as Patrick mentioned, around the holidays, just seems to be that much more emphasized. So,
and apparently the wife sent, I guess, her mother kind of a text, aware of what was going on with the plane. That's equally tragic. Another note, and again, aside of your politics, perhaps one of the best-known politicians in the history of the state has died, and that is former Governor Jim Hunt, who served 4 terms, 2 different stints in the governor's mansion, 2 different 8-year terms at the age of 88. So whether you agree with him politically or not, the guy was a powerhouse in North Carolina politics for sure.
Number 2.
And a great point by you on what Biffle did with the hurricane. I mean, that That was
That's going to be the kind of everybody's final memory of him, even though it was a year ago, just because, he really was in the public eye a lot of late. So, he left his mark on the world in a very positive way. So
that's all you can hope to do.
Yeah.
That's all you can hope to do.
All right, number 2, we're going to start ramping our way up to more fun stuff here. Pirate basketball. Men have won 2 in a row. The women have won 3 in a row. The women will be in action on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Little Birdie told me there's might be somebody on the show that might be calling that game.
Yes, a plucky upstart named Patrick Johnson will be calling the game. The in-state rival between the Pirates and the Fightin' Camels of Campbell. Both teams have won 3 in a row coming in. I think it'll be an intriguing matchup. A couple things to watch out for in that one. Pirates and Taylor Barner. 3rd straight 20-point game for them in the education game on Wednesday. And she had 30 the other night. Second time she's gone for 30 in that building at home this season. So Pirates are playing well right now. Campbell, who's been a top defensive program the last several years, among others, they are led by Jasmine Navarre, whose sister India plays at UNC, and she's considered a top star. And we'll see. That's one of those situations. It'll be hard to keep somebody like that in your program if you're Campbell, unless she just loves the place because she's playing so well. Where she maybe needed to polish up out of high school, she's going to find herself in a position to maybe hit the portal and get some just desserts. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying that seems to be the story there. So anyway, it'll be Brittany Hoyt and myself, 1 o'clock on Sunday. And the interesting thing about the Barner-Navarre matchup is, Pilkington, it's Panther Creek versus Apex Friendship. A couple of North Carolina high school alums going at it there.
Are they still in the same? They're in the same conference, right?
They may very well be. I don't know. Everything changes so much. I don't know. So there we go. And then basketball, of course, 7:30 airtime on 94.3 The Game at 107.9 on Monday night as ECU takes on UNC Chapel Hill, and Darren Vaught will be broadcasting from the rafters of the Dean Dome.
3.
I don't know that for sure. I just think that's going to happen.
Something they would do. Slummy East Carolina, go up to where you belong. No.
Right.
Number 3. It's kind of a fun one. Last night, the Los Angeles Rams decided to host a watch party for a random Thursday night game and invited all their season ticket holders to come to SoFi Stadium. Less than 100 people showed up. Of course, this game was a 5:20 local kickoff, and you had to drive through Los Angeles traffic. And again, this was not to hang out and watch the Super Bowl. This was to hang out and watch a Thursday night football game. Now, it's probably, one of the better games of the year, but they're upset that people didn't show.
Right, Seattle. Well, nobody shows up in L.A. for the Rams. They always seem to show up for the opponent and or the social gathering aspect of it on a Sunday. Same thing for the Chargers to a lesser degree, but nobody's showing up to root for either team.
I mean, that's why they should have moved the Raiders there. People would actually show up and root for the Raiders.
That city would have coalesced around the Raiders in a big way.
I think Mike Schwartz is the only person I've ever met who's actually born in L.A. that's not a Raiders fan. Seriously. And I'm not.
And you know what? He's not a Rams, nor is he a Chargers
No,
fan.
he's a Seahawks fan.
Yeah.
So, because he had a family connection to Seattle. He probably would have been a Raiders fan if it wasn't for that. So,
right. So, the Raiders are LA's team.
Yeah.
And then second would be the Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if we're really being honest.
Yeah, it's Raiders, Cowboys, and then it kind of there's probably a clump of like Packers, Steelers just by default.
Maybe Philly fans, Kansas City fans, because that's the trendy thing.
Denver, maybe even just because it's close-ish.
Denver fans, few Niners fans, I'm sure. But and then the Rams and then the Chargers. Chargers should move back to San Diego. That's kind of the bottom line there.
There weren't Charger fans in San Diego. My uncle used to have season tickets, so there were no Charger fans there even.
Do we know if this party had refreshments?
I would guess it did. I mean, it said it was a watch party. It didn't really specify it was a special invite to the season ticket holders. I'm sure they had some sort of, something.
I would have snuck in like I do the line of.
There you go.
At halftime, if I'd known that was the case.
4-4-4.
Number 4, let's talk about it. NFL big weekend started last night. Seahawks have clinched playoff berth. We got a big one tomorrow night. It's going to be part 2 of the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears tear at Midway. And a couple other big games this week include the Panthers and the Bucks playing first place in the NFC South. You've got the Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They'll be doing battle. An interesting Monday night game. Phillip Rivers will play his first home game as a Colt since 2020 when they host the San Francisco 49ers. I may have missed a game in there.
Kind of rotten weekend for the schedule. What's interesting about the Chicago Green Bay is obviously that's an interesting game because of the rivalry and what it means for the NFC North. But also, is it the North or what is it? It's the NFC
North, yeah.
North. Okay, yeah, because it's the NFC. Yeah. So I saw yesterday where it looks like Chicago may move. They're leaving Soldier Field. That's a pretty much a determined thing in Chicago. There's a place, Arlington Heights. There was a location along the river. They were thinking about building apparently the Arlington Heights thing, which almost seemed like a done deal, had fallen through. So now they're talking about moving the Bears to Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana, the home of the Jacksons.
The issue with this, Patrick, is, if any of your fan base is coming from the north or from the west, they're going to have to drive through the city to get there. If you were coming from an away game, it's close-ish to Midway. It's nowhere near O'Hare, whereas the stadium now is near O'Hare and still pretty close to Midway. Well, Gary, Indiana does have an airport, but it's like cargo planes only. They're trying to get commercial jets back. They used to have commercial jets, but it's going to be like 3 or 4 little airlines. Like you might have one Delta flight from Detroit, one American flight from like LaGuardia. That's going to be it.
Gary's also a dangerous city. It's a depressed, dangerous city, Gary is now. Chicago's no great shakes, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But here's what I would – why not, if you're the Bears, why not would you go and do a deal with Northwestern when they finish that palace that they're building to play your games in there while you renovate Soldier Field to be what you want it to be? And if it's kind of what is happening with the Jags down in Jacksonville. As they're, building the stadium of the future, as they call it, on where it currently sits, their current stadium sits. You know what? I don't have a good feeling about your boys. I just don't. I don't know what it is. But they could win. They're so schizophrenic. So schizophrenic. Here's your head coach, by the way, Pilk, Dave Canales.
It is obvious now for the division right in front of us, this opportunity and how huge it is, and I can feel a sense that the players feel that and see that and know that.
Okay, I'm back on saying the Panthers will win. Bucks have some problems, Pilk. Bucks have some personnel problems at the moment.
They are. It comes down, I think, do the Bucks show up with their tail tucked between their legs feeling sorry for themselves? They've lost 2 in a row. If that happens, the Panthers win. If they don't, I don't know if the Panthers have the defensive backfield to cover the amount of star wide receivers that Tampa Bay has.
Sure. The Pittsburgh-Detroit game, I guess Sunday, is intriguing also, just given the fact that Detroit's going to be desperate, or is desperate. Pittsburgh kind of controls their own destiny.
They do, but it's going to be interesting to see, too, what happens early with that Pats-Ravens game. If the Ravens win, they're right there on Pittsburgh's heels. If the Ravens lose, it gives Pittsburgh a little breathing room.
Yeah. So that's Sunday night. And then you mentioned San Fran and Indy. Yeah, the better games are later in the day. And how about your guys not getting it? Even though it's an important game for a division, the national clearance are the aforementioned Chargers and Cowgirls playing at 1 o'clock, the national distribution game. So woof on that. Sneaky good. I think we disagree on this. I actually think this Jacksonville-Denver game could end up being the game of the weekend. We're going to find out a lot about Jacksonville, and I also think you don't agree with this. We're going to find out a lot about Denver.
I I think we found out a lot about Denver last week. I think they're finally ready to play with the big boys, but did they have a letdown game after that performance last week?
That could very well be part of that. All right.
Number 5, college football playoff. It starts in a couple hours, PJ. And the game of the whole thing is tonight, and it's just all downhill from here. I think they got like the best game first, and this is the second best game, then the third best game, and then, we can all go to bed whenever we want Saturday night or watch Duke and Texas Tech play basketball.
Alabama! They're playing at Oklahoma tonight. I am back and forth on this one because they both stink.
They do. The one thing I'm going to say, Patrick, Oklahoma has already beat Alabama this year. Any guess?
I don't feel great about Oklahoma, to be honest with you.
Any guess the last time a team beat Alabama twice in the same season?
Was it Auburn?
No.
Georgia?
No.
Florida?
No.
Tennessee?
You're not going to get it. It was the Birmingham Athletic Club in 1893. That is the last time Alabama lost twice in the same year to the same team.
So you're saying history's against Oklahoma here?
History is a hell of against Oklahoma. Because I thought the same thing. I was like, Georgia probably beat them in the ACC or the SEC championship game and the college football playoff, or LSU the year they beat them in the national championship. Maybe they beat them in regular season. No. Birmingham Athletic Club, PJ. Alabama went 0-4 that year. They lost to Swanee. They lost those 2 games, and then they got hammered in the Iron Bowl. Those were their 4 games.
Well, they've come away since then, as you know. It's a 1.5 in favor of Oklahoma. Give me Bama. Alabama. God, why?
I'm with you. Give me Bama. Give me A&M. I trust Mike Elko, and then I'm not picking either one of the Group of 5 schools either. So that's what I got.
Well, now wait a second. Yeah, I think Texas A&M wins at home at noon tomorrow. I think Tulane, it's going to be closer than people think.
It's going to be close. I think it's going to be close. They're not going to get hammered twice in the same year by the same team. They're too good.
No, but I mean, there's so much that's gone on around Ole Miss, and they've all talked about Kiffin. You know, there are a lot of changes to what's going on in Ole Miss. That's going to be a closer game than people expected to be.
I agree.
All right. Cristin Severance, WREL documentarian on the Belichick Way, a new doc that's out from the Big Five. And we'll talk with her about it coming up right after this.
Back to the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back. We got a jam-packed show, so let's get started.
Deep breath. Here we go.
Hey, Toby, what's been one of my favorite topics in 2025?
Hair Jordan.
What? Hair? Well, the whole Belichick thing, right?
Yeah.
That's been... So you can imagine it was like Christmas Day for me when I saw that WRAL was doing a documentary on Bill Belichick coaching Carolina. Cristin Severance, who does outstanding work. She's won a lot of awards. She's a documentary producer, investigative reporter with WRAL. Did a really emotionally moving documentary in the fall about the aftermath of the hurricane out in Western Carolina. She's done a lot of great stuff. We've had her over on Talk of the Town a time or two, and wanted to talk to her about this because it debuted last night. It's going to be over the weekend on Fox 50, but YouTube is where you can go to check this out. Cristin Severance, a maiden voyage here on the Patrick Johnson Show. It's nice to have you, and thank you for the Christmas and holiday gift. I'm excited that I get to watch something on my favorite topics. So,
oh well, thank you so much for having me. Yes, it was. You know, I am an investigative reporter. I don't typically cover sports, and I will tell you, I got so into this subject just because there are so many layers, as you know.
Absolutely. So when you say you got into it, where did the idea come up to, do this? Because obviously it was, if you go back during the balance of 2025, I think if you're talking about kind of just, sports topics of the year, it's maybe the biggest one in North Carolina, probably is the biggest one in our state. And it's got to be a top 5 or top 10 in the country for the year. So, how did this pique your interest? I guess would be the way to say that.
Oh, it was, you said it was such a big story. And not just in sports, in news. People could not get enough. And so we really went all in on the coverage on WRAL a year ago. And so I'd say about 3 months into that coverage, we thought, you know what, no matter what happens, right, no matter if this is the best season ever for UNC football or if it turns out like it did, this should be a documentary.
Yeah.
And so I think, we just had so much material, and there's just so much to get into, so much interest.
You had among the panelists, different sports reporters. Our friend Wes Durham was on there. We've had Pat Welter on our show from WRAL Sports talking about this, especially when a lot of that news was popping off a few months ago. And then there's the Jordan Hudson aspect of this. And again, it's multi-layered, it's multifaceted. What was for you maybe the preconceived notion or the thought going in versus were those thoughts solidified, or maybe that you discovered that was different than maybe you may have thought going in?
Well, I will tell you, I never expected to get so into college football. I will say that it's something that my husband laughs. I talk about it so much now. And look, I like football. I grew up in Pittsburgh where, you are born. It's the law, basically. You have to be a Steelers fan and not some passive fan. You have to know football, right? My kids play flag football, so we watch a lot of football in my house, but not college football. And so I think that really surprised me. The world has changed so much. I mean, every analyst I interviewed has told me college football is insane right now. The pressure to go all in and NIL and the portal. And, I found myself, I'm producing this Belichick documentary. I find myself watching videos about Indiana's program and their coach. And so I think that just how interesting it is for sports fans and for non-sports fans. I think that really surprised me.
Yeah, that's kind of the challenge with this. I mean, you're doing a sports topic, and that's one of the reasons it has piqued my interest, and one of the reasons we have you on my sports show today, Cristin, is to, obviously there's a sports aspect to it. It is the big institution in the state. They obviously spend a ton of money to go, as you say, all in on football. But then there's the part of this that does have to appeal to Jimmy and Jane Walmart, who maybe aren't sports fans. As crazy as I am about sports, as big a fan as you are of the Steelers, not everybody is, as nutty about sports as some of us are. So one of the interesting aspects of this is, I guess, the political side of it from the standpoint of the Board of Trustees versus the Board of Governors in North Carolina.
Right.
We've talked a lot about those headwinds for both sides on this show even. So from that standpoint, could you maybe just take us through a little bit of, the role of the Board of Trustees in this, and then the way that things have kind of changed now from the Board of Governors in light of this multi-million-dollar contract that Bill Belichick received?
Oh, absolutely. And, that was really the meat of our documentary. How did this hire happen? And really like the behind the scenes maneuvers to get this to happen. And we interviewed John Pryor, Trustee John Pryor, sat down with him. And look, I give him credit. He did not have to talk to us. Many people did not for the documentary, okay? Bill Belichick did not, Michael Lombardi, Bubba Cunningham, Lee Roberts. We had media availability, but he did not do a sit-down interview. So I really do have to give John Pryor some credit for talking about this at length. And really what he said and I asked him point blank, because that was really the narrative out there, that when Mac Brown was let go, that the Board of Trustees, they were upset about it. And I asked him, look, is that why you and the other trustee members became so involved in this search process? Were you so upset with how that situation was handled that you didn't trust Bubba Cunningham and the athletic department to choose a coach? And, John Pryor laughs and just kind of, pretty revealing moment in the documentary. But he says at the end of the day, no, he was put on the search committee, by the chancellor. And he really, says that it wasn't the trustees at the end of the day. It was Chancellor Roberts who made this decision. But look, John Pryor pushed it. He thought the best person for the job. I mean, he admits to, after he talked to Michael Lombardi and then talks to Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick is an actual candidate for the job, John Pryor was worried it was taking too long, and he admits to, giving publicly available information about Mac Brown's contract to Michael Lombardi because he said, look, time kills all deals. I didn't want this to fall through. I didn't want, Bill Belichick to think that we weren't interested. And so we just learned a lot of details about kind of who wanted this hire. And then, Bala Cunningham did not do an interview for the doc, but many people in the documentary have said that he did not want to hire Bill Belichick. Maybe, maybe he was sold on it, but that was not his first choice.
And then with the Board of Governors intervening, how much has that changed the process of hiring since all of this went down?
Right. That was really interesting. The Board of Governors stripped, approval authority from the board because of this move. And, John Pryor says, look, it really wasn't the Board of Trustees. I was on the search committee, but there were repercussions because of it. So it just shows you, that infighting. It just shows you how many people were just so either really for this or really upset. And it's like a movie. It's so dramatic at every turn.
See, Pilk, this is the palace intrigue that I love about this whole thing. Cristin Severance, WRAL investigative reporter and documentary producer. The documentary is Coaching Carolina the Belichick Way. It is out now. It will re-air, I know, on Fox 50 in the Triangle over the weekend. But you can go to the WRAL YouTube page, Cristin, and it's there in its entirety.
It is. It is there in its entirety on all our platforms, YouTube, anywhere you watch WRAL. Okay.
I think Hulu, you all have a deal with them, so it's really kind of everywhere you want to stream this. Cristin, let me ask you this. What is the feeling on the ROI of the Belichick thing now?
What do you mean by ROI?
I mean, like, they invested a ton of money. And what do they feel like as far as the return on that investment? The principals you talk to, or just any of the folks you talk to affiliated with this?
Well, UNC, Chancellor Roberts, John Pryor, they are saying it's too early to tell. That, look, they came in.
Of course.
But they are really standing by that, okay? At every turn, you know what? It's too early. It was one season. It wasn't their team. They didn't do recruitment. But then you talk to people, the people I interviewed, and then sources through, Pat Welter and Brian Murphy, my colleagues, and they say, well, I mean, Lombardi did all the recruiting, and that is still the person in charge next year. And the year after that, if it stays. And so you just wonder, they keep saying one season wasn't enough, but you just wonder, what is going to change? They have this recruiting class, it's a top 20 recruiting class, but then everyone tells me that freshmen don't come in and really dominate. So, see, I mean, the fact that I know all of this is just shocking. If you really knew me.
What do you think of Aaron Rodgers? All right, let me ask you this. What do you think of Aaron Rodgers? And is it time for a coaching change in Pittsburgh?
Geez. No, I don't think it's time for a coaching change.
Okay.
But Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I was skeptical, but it's been fun. It's been fun to watch. And when he's on, he's on.
As long as you could still be accurate and take care of the football, you could play, as long as you're physically able to quarterback, it would seem like. You didn't go to Pitt, did you, Cristin? I hope not.
No,
You're not a Pitt.
I went to WVU. I went to West Virginia
okay.
University.
Well, that's who Pitt is. Who East Carolina is playing in the bowl game, the Military Bowl, a week from Saturday. So a week from tomorrow.
So you can be a pirate with us because we know you'll never pull for Pitt.
Right. And
I will. I will absolutely.
The West Virginia people, they kind of like. There's a little kinship with East Carolina for that game. It used to be a little bit of a rivalry over the years. So,
love it.
All right, Cristin Severance with us here. Is there any Hair Jordan in your documentary? Jordan Hudson.
Oh, yes.
Okay. As much as you could give us there without giving away the punchline to this.
Of course. I mean, look, Jordan Hudson, people cannot get enough of that storyline. Me particularly, I will say, as a journalist, I do not care who Bill Belichick dates. I really don't. The reason why it was part of my documentary and our story was because of her involvement with UNC, being copied on the emails, weighing in on these, PR decisions. There's another documentary a national outlet did this week, 2 hours long. The entire thing is on Bill and Jordan. To me, come on, like that is not. We wanted to look. Yes, she's a part of the story, of course, but no, we wanted to look at why he was hired, how he was hired, and all of this money, and is it going to ultimately pay off or be a big flop?
Yeah. Just kind of from the standpoint of, again, just her level of involvement seemingly in a lot of things now surround. What was the thoughts on that from, the UNC folks? What did they even would they even go there and talk about it, or was it something they would not discuss? I mean, I'm not talking about who Belichick is dating.
Right.
I'm talking about just, again, as you say, her involvement and her level of involvement and how public, facing she is with this program.
Right. I think it's tough, right? I think they do not want to say anything that's make their head coach look bad, right? So they kind of always have their same statements that they always go back to. She's welcome there. She's not an employee of UNC. She's welcome at the facilities, and she is, we see her at every game. Trustee John Pryor, I asked him about all of this and really the headlines and the attention. And he said, look, it's only a problem if it brings negative attention to the university. And I said, well, some would say, based on some of these headlines, for instance, the band necklaces or some of the social media posts saying that she's going to sue, journalist, YouTuber Pablo Torre.
Yeah,
I said, you're right. I said some would say she did bring negative headlines, and he said no, that it's not fair. It's a personal relationship. So I think that's pretty much the party line from most people at UNC.
Did you get any idea? So I mean, I know you said, but did you sense any buyer's remorse or kind of uncomfortable nature when you talked to the member of the board that was on the search committee, or just anybody with because this by all accounts was a disastrous year, especially given the hype. I mean, was there any of that? I mean, I know I kind of asked you that already, but I just, I think when you look at the thing in totality, aside from the results on the field, it's just been, it's been a circus, as some would say.
Oh, right. No, I did not get that. And, okay. I think they are so, better word. I think they're very desperate for it to pay off, right? I mean, wouldn't you be if you stuck your neck out for this person?
Yeah.
So I think they are really, really sold on the fact that, look, this guy was an incredible NFL coach. Some say the best NFL coach ever. If he can do it in an NFL, he's going to be a successful college teacher, teacher of football in college. But then, I interviewed people like Stuart Mandel, editor of The Athletic, and he told me, look, when this was happening, he said he was getting calls from college administrators all over the country being like, what are they thinking? Are they crazy? And he said it's because he's seen this story over and over again. That just because you're it doesn't always translate the way people think it would.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing it in real time. Well, at least we did this season.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating, and it'll go on, and we'll see it again next season, it appears. So there you have it.
Right.
Cristin Severance, WRAL documentary producer, does amazing work, and the latest doc from WRAL, Coaching Carolina the Belichick Way. I look forward to watching it on the YouTubes in its totality this evening or tomorrow. Again, I've seen a lot of the excerpts of it, and I find it fascinating. Thank you for being with us.
Patrick,
and,
or
YouTube,
tomorrow.
pick it up.
6 o'clock today, the second the show ends, do not call Patrick. He will be watching this documentary. Nobody call Patrick. Nobody text Patrick.
Yes,
Nobody
really
try and find him on the sidewalk. Or tomorrow.
The second, well, Pilk, at the end of the week, I'm a little worn down. I might want to go to sleep, but no, I will watch this for sure. Hey, Cristin, thank you. I hope it's a safe travel for you. Thank you for squeezing us in on a busy day for you, and we really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I really, really enjoyed producing this, and I loved talking about it. So call me anytime. Call me after you watch it.
All right, Cristin, thanks for being with us. Cristin Severance from WRAL, Coaching Carolina the Belichick Way. And it's able to be viewed here in the East. Go to just YouTube or wherever you download these WRAL podcasts, and you can get it there. All right, we're going to wrap up things on the Get You to the Weekend edition. Right after this timeout, it is the Patrick Johnson Show.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
So, again, proving, Pilk, that what I pull off on a daily basis, while miraculous to some, is just commonplace for me. Doug Gottlieb, whose fine radio product appears before this show every day, is stepping away from his Fox radio show to concentrate and go all in coaching the Phoenix. We're playing next week in North Carolina against Campbell of Green Bay, the Phoenix of Green Bay, where they won 4 games last year. They are below 500 this year. He's going to forego the radio show. So, Pilk, this makes what I do even more amazing, that I do everything I do and still do the radio show here on the station.
It does. And just ask him, though. He did say this is not because he doesn't have enough time to coach basketball. This is just a personal decision. That's what he said.
He doesn't have enough time to do it all. You can't do it all.
Can't.
Only I can. But I'm just like you. Put the britches on one leg at a time, working class hero. That's all I am. With that moment of humility, we say have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. Get some Christmas shopping done. Be safe. Monday, we will be back on the Patrick Johnson Show. Looking forward to seeing you or connecting with you at that time.